Make sure that you've got a chair that doesn't have any wheels on it, that's not going to roll around or move out from underneath you. Clear out a little bit of space so you can bring your arms along your sides or even up overhead without knocking off anything off of any of your counters or the tables in your house. And one of the rules that we have for our classes here at CEP in our yoga sessions is to really slow down, to listen to your body. And so many of us have been caught in thinking thoughts way up here in our mind. And when we do yoga, we have the opportunity to move our attention down into the body, which sometimes is a little bit more accurate data about what is true than relying on our emotional thoughts and our thinking processes. So, we're going to tune into the body a little bit, acknowledging and embracing this aspect of slowing down and giving ourselves a little bit of grace today. When we're talking about mindfulness and bringing our attention into the present moment, we're offering ourselves the opportunity to do so with respect, with non comparison, not comparing ourselves to the past or the way things used to be, not thinking about the way we wish things were different or the way things ought to be, but really slowing down to bring our attention into this moment with a lot of compassion, a lot of embracing that part of ourselves that is so human, that we know that not only do we make mistakes, but life includes suffering and change, and that is inevitable. Can we use some of these practices of presence to bring ourselves into the moment with a little bit of clarity, without judgment, without trying to fix or change the things we cannot change? And embrace this idea of creating contentment and cultivating contentment and happiness in all circumstances of life, especially the changes that we cannot control. Can we offer those spaces a little bit more generous grace, a little bit more loving kindness, or a little bit more friendliness? So let's get into our body today. We know when we're talking about changes in the body that listening to our body may not always be comfortable, but we'll accept that with a little bit of clarity today. Slide your hips up to the edge of the chair. Separate your feet about hip width distance apart. See if you can look at the spaces in between your feet and point your big toes straight ahead so that your feet are parallel. Coming up on to some heel raises, go ahead and start to become aware of the soles of your feet, maybe even the arches of your feet. As you start to bring your attention down into your legs and your ankles and your feet, you might start to bring your awareness a little bit more into your body. Notice and recognize the places that you feel this stretch. Allow yourself to be with what is as it is. Coming all the way back to center. This time, lift up your toes, maybe even the balls of your feet, to activate those shin muscles on the front of your lower legs. You might even spread and separate your toes a little bit as we start to engage with the part of our body that really helps with balance, this ankle and foot situation. And then bringing your feet flat to the floor, start to windshield wiper your knees over to the right side. Noticing what your capacity is today based on how your hips feel. And then see if you can go all the way to the left side. Starting to get a little bit of movement in your hips. Maybe our hips have only been letting our legs move forward and backwards, not necessarily side to side today. It may be nice to get a little bit of different movement into some of these hip joints and knee areas, coming all the way back to center with your feet flat on the floor, mountain pose, arms alongside your torso. With an inhale, stretch your arms up overhead. Notice what your shoulders prefer. As soon as you find that spot where you feel sharp or shooting pain, you know that is certainly a sign to back out. Exhale, bring your hands all the way back down through center. Inhale, start to clear out your breath with a few fresh rounds of inhales and exhales here. Exhale, hands down your spine. Inhale, arms up overhead. Bring in some fresh breaths into your body, almost like a little bit of a midday reset here. Last one, inhale, arms up overhead to reach up. Exhale, coming all the way back down, hands to the tops of your knees. With your next inhale, take a big breath in and lift your chest. Let's do some weight transfers, starting to shift your weight over to the right side and then all the way over to the left side. Not so far that we fall out of the chair or lose our balance, but see if instead you can use the stretch on the side of your rib cage as a gauge to know what depth of the stretch is best for your body. A little bit of dull ache is perfectly fine here. Again, it's that sharp shooting pain. That's our signal to back out. See if you can listen to your body a little bit more than you listen to me. On your next inhale, coming all the way back through center, take a big breath in. Walk your feet out a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. Turn your toes out slightly. Bring your hands to the tops of your knees. And on your next exhale, see if you can lean forward until you feel the stretch in your back. And as you inhale and come all the way back up, see if you can lean back into that space behind you until you feel those core belly muscles fire. Exhale, leaning forward to stretch your back. Inhale, coming all the way to lean back and tone those abdominal muscles. Let's start to move with your breath a little bit. Exhale forward. Inhale back up like the biggest rocking chair. Can you keep your feet grounded on the floor? But let your hips and your spine get a little bit more movement. On your next exhale, fold forward. And then inhale, arms up overhead. Take a big stretch up through your fingertips. Maybe look up. Exhale, coming all the way back down through center. Walk your feet back to that hip width distance apart. And see if you can come up onto tibias to toes and get some quicker feet, letting all that blood and lymph fluid, all that lactic acid start to move around, moving some of the fluid in our legs around a little bit for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With nice grounded feet flat on the floor, let's break up some tension in these shoulders, somewhere that we hold a lot of tension in our body. Inhale, shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, shoulders move back and down. Let's do that again. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, back. And let those shoulder blades slide down your back and move. Inhale, up. Exhale, back and down. 2 more, just like that, breaking up a little bit of tension underneath those shoulder blades, all through that shoulder girdle. And then see if you can roll your shoulders forward a few times, especially if your upper back has been tight. You might feel the little bit of stretch across your upper back and shoulders here. Maybe you hear some cricking and some cracking, which is pretty typical. On your next inhale, come all the way back to center. Bring your hands to your hips. Notice where your posture is at in space. See if you can stack your head and your shoulders above your hips a little bit more so that your spine stacks a little bit more upright. With an inhale, stretch your left arm up overhead. We want to be able to get this arm up to do things like reach up to the top shelf or reach above the refrigerator. See if you can straighten your arm, bring your fingertips together, and with an exhale, lean over to the right. Inhale to center, big breath up. Exhale to stretch the left side of your ribs. Inhale, breathing in. Exhale, breathing out. A few more just like that, starting to move with your breath as you notice the stretch on that left side of your rib cage. Last one, exhale to the side. Inhale, coming all the way back to center. Release and switch. On your next inhale, this time, right arm goes up overhead like we're reaching towards the top shelf. Exhale over to the side. Inhale, big breath in. Use the strength of your belly and back. Exhale to stretch. Inhale, strong return to center. Exhale, big side stretch. Last one, big breath in. Exhale to reach. Inhale, coming all the way back up. Exhale, arms back by your sides. You might notice a little tingling or even a little bit of blood flow in your arms after that. See if you can shake your wrist out, loose fingertips, loose wrist. We know that when we are looking for signs of cognitive changes, that rigidity in joints like the wrist may be a sign of cognitive change. So we're looking for loose wrists, loose fingertips for 3, 2, 1. Working on those fine motor movements. See if you can cover up your fingernails with your thumb. Like you don't want your mom to see the color of your fingernail polish. And then flicking your fingers like you're flicking water, open and close. Bringing that thumb back over your fingertips for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then working on these hand gestures a little bit more. I'm just going to come a little bit closer so you can see here. Let's see if we can bring our palms facing up and then palms facing down a few times. We want these two bones of our lower arms, that radius and the ulna there, to kind of be able to rotate over one another in a comfortable way. So this is kind of ensuring that a little bit. One more. Yeah, like we don't want to spill the pizza. And then see if you can show me little claws with your hands. And then open up your fingers, claws. And then show me a little beak like a duck. And then big, wide open hands. So I've got claws, paws, beak, bright. Paws, claws, beak, bright. One more. Paws, claws, beak, bright. Good job. Check it out. Very nice. All right, bring in your fingertips to interlace right underneath your knuckles. Or I'm sorry, knuckles right underneath your chin. With an inhale, lift your elbows up, exhale back down. Let's do that a few more times. Moving with your breath. Inhale through your nose if it's okay for your sinuses. Exhale back down. A few more like that. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale, elbows go up to the ceiling. Get your lungs to spread out. Exhale back down. This time, fingertips to shoulders, elbows out to the side. Take a big breath in and exhale, twisting to the right. Start to look to the right, keeping your elbows wide. Inhale to center. Exhale to twist. Of course, you can do this seated from the chair. I'm just coming a little closer so you can see me better. Inhale to center. Exhale to twist. One more on each side. Inhale to the right. Exhale to center. Inhale to twist. Exhale back out. See if you can roll your shoulders around a few times, breaking up all that tension. And then let's get into this neck area a little bit. We've been working through a lot of warm ups on all these major joints. A lot of us have pain typically in the neck or shoulders or in the low back. That's a really common area to experience. Let's see if we can stretch that out a little bit. Walking your feet back to that hip width distance apart. Drop your left ear down towards your left shoulder. You might even stretch that right arm out to the side or almost like you're reaching towards the floor to make a little bit more space there between your right shoulder and the base of your little chin here. You might imagine stretching out some of that ropey tendon like tissue on the right hand side. On your next inhale, bring your head all the way back to center. And like we're picking up something from the floor below, reach down, inhale to center. Let's do that again. Exhale, reaching to grab the shoe off the floor. Inhale back up. If you don't reach all the way to the floor, no problem. But one of our goals is to stay independent. And we want to be able to get these simple everyday movements in or just practice them and look for change over time. See if you can come back to that tall posture. This time, right hand to right hip. Drop your left arm out to the side. Right ear to right shoulder. Take some big breaths in and out. Seal your lips together. Let your breath come generously in and out of your nose. And maybe it's been a while since you've paid attention to your breath. It's really one of the foundations of that mind-body connection. Gentle movements combined with your breathing help to reconnect your body, fostering kindness and a little bit of awareness. Coming all the way back to center, exhale to reach as far as you can go comfortably. Inhale back up. Exhale to the floor. Inhale up. Last two, just going as far as we can comfortably. You can see why stretching that side body can be something that is important. We want a lot of movement there so we can continue to side bend like this. On your next inhale, stretch your left arm up overhead. Take a big breath in and reach up. And then we're going to go around town, keeping your arm as straight as you can, reaching as far to the left, rolling your chest up and bringing it around town back to the right. Inhale up, exhale back down. Inhale up and around town. Exhale back down. Switch sides. Inhale, hands to hips. Notice your posture in your exhale. On your next inhale, this time right arm up overhead. Exhale down. Inhale back up. All the way around to your fullest capacity, stretching that back out. Inhale up, not being judgmental for whatever we find. We'll offer a little kindness, a little respect to our body, no matter what it's been through. Exhale down. Inhale up. Last one. Exhale down. Inhale up. Coming all the way back to center. Awesome. We've got the side body stretched out, the shoulders and the neck are open. We've moved some of the fluid around our legs, but let's work on some of this lower body stability. Anybody have a lot of cats in the house that you're stepping over or shoes? scattered throughout the home that you have to step over occasionally? Yeah, me too. Let's make sure that these legs are ready for things like stepping up and over the side of the tub. Yeah, starting with the left leg. Inhale back to center. Exhale, the right leg lifts to step up into the car. You can use your hands on the back of your thigh for support. Your legs don't have to lift up as high as mine. If you get that sharp shooting pain, you might just do one leg instead of two. Stepping over the sidewalk curb and then all the way back to center. Stepping up onto that big step in front of you and then all the way back to center. What else might we need this movement of knee coming up and then externally opening it out to the side? What else might we need this movement for? A little hip mobility. Maybe you're playing with the grandkids a lot and chasing them around and laying on the floor with them and all kinds of other wild things. Coming all the way back to center. This time, walk both feet out to a wide stance. Turn your big toes out slightly. See if you can press your feet into the floor firmly and notice that my heels are right underneath my knees. My leg's not out in front of me. It's not kicked back behind me. Those shins are straight up and down. Coming up onto your right tippy toe and then up onto that left tippy toe. Let's see if we can do that a few times. Activating those calf muscles with the legs in external rotation. Yeah. One more on each side. We want that ankle stability to be able to catch us when we get unsteady or feel like we're going to fall. Inhale, arms up overhead again. Exhale, hands to center. Inhale, arms circle up, upward salute. Exhale, this time ragdoll forward. See if you can dive forward, only reaching towards the floor and dropping your chin to your chest as much as feels comfortable for your back. If you've got those herniated disc or any pinched disc in your back, you might want to find a lot more mild version of this where you just bring your back straight and drop your chin to your chest instead of dropping your whole back to be rounded. But see if you can access a few breaths, even here in this folded forward position, in this rounded spine. Can you let your breath come in and out a few times? We want to be able to access deep breaths, even in stressful moments. On your next inhale, bring your hands to the tops of your knees and lift your chin up halfway, almost like you could arch your back to stretch it a little bit here. Exhale, like we're going down to the bottom of a push-up. Bend your elbows a little bit, lower your chest. And then inhale, press into your feet. Stretch your arms up overhead. Another upward salute, look up. Exhale, hands to center. Inhale, let's do that whole sequence again. Arms up overhead. Exhale, folding forward, reaching towards the floor below. We may never touch, and that's fine, just enough to stretch the back. On your next inhale, bring your hands to the tops of your knees, lift your chin up halfway. Exhale, bend your elbows, lower down halfway. Inhale, press into your feet, stretch your arms up overhead, strong belly, strong back. Exhale, hands to center. One more through that whole sequence. Inhale, arms circle up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, hands to knees, chin up halfway. Exhale, bend your elbows, lower back down halfway. Inhale, press into your feet, stretch your arms up overhead, reach up. Exhale, hands to center. One at a time, step your feet all the way back towards one another. Windshield wiper your knees left or right again. Get a little bit of movement and rotation in that ball and socket joint that your hips have there. Yeah, moving that femur bone around in that joint socket. Yes. Our hips can get really tight, but it's something that we can work with. The thing about pain and chronic pain is that there's this really interesting thing that happens with the way our brain works. If we ignore chronic pain and treat our body really in a disrespectful way because of it, what happens is that amplifies our experience of that pain. We know from a lot of research in somatic practices, when we're kind to the way that we talk to ourselves and treat our body, when we approach our expectations with our body with gentleness, and when we're mindful of the places that we're hurting or suffering without ignoring them, but instead embracing them, paying attention to them, nurturing them, being proactive around that area, it can change our experience of chronic pain and make it a lot more manageable. Isn't that wild to think that our brain can amplify negative thinking and amplify pain in our body and make it worse than it actually is if we don't take care of it and nurture it? On your next inhale, walk your feet back out to that wide stance. This time, slide your left foot a little bit straighter. Straighten that left knee, rest your left heel on the floor. See if you can point your big toe up to the ceiling and do some windshield wipers left to right on that left foot. Yeah, you might feel the internal rotation of that thigh bone and the external rotation of that thigh bone here. And then coming all the way back to center, big toe points up to the ceiling. With an inhale, stretch your arms up overhead. Exhale, arms to a T. Let's find our warrior position here. Turn your eyes to gaze over those left fingertips. Let your shoulders relax down away from your ears, but lift your hands as high as your shoulders. Sometimes we're involved in battles and we're a warrior for things we didn't necessarily sign up for. And we can build this resilience in our mind and our body to show up and be kind no matter the circumstance or obstacle ahead. Exhale, extended side angle. Bring your right forearm or palm to the top of that right thigh. With an inhale, stretch your left arm up overhead. Straighten your arm to what feels best for your shoulder. You can stay here or bring your bicep a little closer to your ear as you take another side stretch. Lift your chin up out of your chest. Lengthen the back of your neck. Take some stronger, smoother breaths in and out. Inhale to center, arms to a T. Exhale, hands to hips. Step your left foot in. Straighten your right leg this time. Rest your right heel on the floor. Take some windshield wipers left to right, helping to free up some of those nerves that sometimes get stuck threading through those muscles in your legs or your hips or low back. Yes. Coming all the way back to center, point that right big toe up. Feel free to step the left foot out so we get a little bit of that inner thigh stretch. With an inhale, keep your feet planted on the floor for balance as you bring your arms out to a T. This time, gazing over your left fingertips. Soften your gaze. Soften your breath. Even in the face of difficulty or challenge, can you be soft and kind? With an inhale, lift the center of your chest. Exhale, left forearm or hand to top of left thigh. With an inhale, stretch your right arm up overhead. Stop and stay here or reach over to the left side of your room. Lengthen the back of your neck. Keep your belly strong, but find some deeper breaths in and out. Try not to hold your breath. Maybe soften your face and invite your shoulders to soften a little bit more. Avoid over efforting. Inhale to center, arms to a T. Exhale, hands to hips. Walk your feet all the way back to center. Slide your hips a little bit more comfortably towards the back of your chair. You can either cross your ankles or just rest your feet on the floor. And then we're going to bring one hand to our belly and one hand to our chest. This helps us connect a little bit more with this physical body. But you might close your eyes and seal your lips together and let your breath come in and out of your nose. And if that's not comfortable for your sinuses, of course, feel free to breathe comfortably out of your mouth. Whichever you chose, let a few smoother, softer breaths come in as you keep your attention on this really gentle inhale and exhale coming and leaving your body, almost like waves on the shore of the beach. You might inhale and imagine the waves coming in. And exhale and imagine that wave of water retreating back into the ocean. If the ocean or the beach isn't somewhere that you find relaxing or comforting, you might have another place in nature that you imagine yourself sitting in the middle of in this moment. You might use your creative awareness and your imagination almost to paint a visual picture of that beautiful and calming scene in nature, almost like you're just sitting here to pause and take a moment to center. As your brain starts to relax a little bit with that imagery and the softness of some deeper breaths, you might also start to relax your physical body a little bit more, letting your shoulders drop down away from your ears, maybe softening your legs and the soles of your feet a little bit, even releasing some of the tension behind the backs of your knees. And sticking with your breath here, you might notice how your breath is something that's happening in this present moment, an anchor into being here now. We know that our breaths, nice and deep and full like this, when we pay attention to them, can also be very calming for the nervous system. That oxygen gets a little bit more into the bloodstream. And as we oxygenate our bloodstream, that oxygen also helps to move through our brain and can help support better cognition and also better sleep. Keeping your attention on your breath a little bit longer, this single pointed awareness. You might inhale and see if you can imagine your body stretching out to hold your breath as you feel your body lift underneath the palms of your hands. Exhale, press all that air back out. You might feel your rib cage collapse a little bit or get a little smaller. Inhale, letting your lungs fill up all the way to the top. You might even sip in a little bit of extra breath at the top. And a slow exhale all the way back to where you started. Let's do that again. Inhaling nice and slow and smooth, all the way to your maximum capacity of breathing in. Not a quick breath, a slow, easy breath. Exhaling to let that breath go all the way down to the bottom. And just a few more deepest, fullest breaths like that, almost like we're pulling in a little bit of fresh energy. You might notice that cool breath coming in And as you take those long, slow, steady exhales, you might imagine releasing some of the negative thinking or the negative self talk, or even some of the ruminations, the stories that we've been telling ourselves on repeat. You might imagine these next few exhales releasing those out of your body and out into that beach scene or that forest scene that you created earlier, almost like the ocean or the trees. Could take that negativity and use it for a little bit of fuel or food. Almost like the trees of the beach would say, "Thank you for giving that up." And you might imagine just these last few moments giving up some of the things that you cannot control, starting to let loose of the grip of the things that we can't change no matter how hard we try or think about them. And embracing action and empowerment around the things we can change and control. Letting yourself be free of all that we can't control and softly embracing the things, the small changes that we can. And then let your breath just return back to its natural pattern. You might rest your knuckles or your hands back in your lap and just take a moment here to hold this stillness and this silence for just one moment longer, maybe the first moment of stillness and silence that you've had all week. And the clarity of being in your body, maybe there's a little intention that you want to set for the day or the week ahead. Perhaps something that we want to walk a little closer to, or something that we're moving away from. Just notice the first intention that you can express to yourself kindly. What is it that your body needs this week? Without guilt or without shame, without feeling selfish, we'll know that paying attention to those things is self-full, not selfish. On your next inhale, stretch your arms up overhead, reach up, stretch up through your fingertips, stretch your spine. Exhale, coming all the way back down through center. Start to rub your hands together, igniting a little bit of heat from the friction between your palms, a sure sign that our actions can manifest in the material world in front of us. Notice that heat from your hands, and then cup your palms either over your cheeks or over your eyelids. Notice the heat on the skin of your face. In honor of yourself and the journey that you're going through, the changes that you have in front of you as an individual, in honor of each other and finding a community to share and normalize those changes with. And in honor of this path and practice and helping make a way for those with mild cognitive impairment after us, exhale and gently release. It is so good to be together and practice together this week. Thank you so much for being a part of this online community. If you'd like any more information about how to get involved with CEP, feel free to leave your email address in the chat this week, and we'll make sure that you're on our newsletter list. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in all over the city of Atlanta, all over the state of Georgia and beyond, as we come together and really celebrate the fact that just because we have a diagnosis of early stage memory loss, it doesn't mean that there's nothing we can do or that life's over. There are so many lifestyle changes that we can make to not just delay cognitive decline, but what we've seen in our research here at CEP is those who have been involved socially, those who've been involved physically active, we see their cognitive levels stay the same versus decline over time, especially with the combination of some of these new therapies, the new infusions and the aducanumab treatments and things like that. Thank you all for being involved in research. And we're going to come back in the month of September to talk about Alzheimer's Awareness Month. You may not be on a way to that Alzheimer's diagnosis just because you have mild cognitive impairment. And we're here to talk about that together over the month ahead. So we'll continue cultivating these compassionate choices and compassionate mind frames. And please continue to join us in this online community in the months and weeks ahead. Thank you so much, everybody.